I still remember the silence that followed. Not the music, not the applause, just the silence when she said no. I was there, a stranger in the crowd. I watched her walk away from a man on his knees, holding a ring that suddenly meant nothing. And somehow, that moment changed my entire life. It happened on a Saturday evening in June. I was at the waterfront, just trying to clear my head after a long week. Work had been draining. My apartment felt too quiet. I needed air. I needed to be around people without actually talking to anyone. That's when I saw the crowd gathering near the pier. At first, I thought it was a street performer, but then I noticed the photographer, the nervous friends holding their phones up, the woman standing in the center looking confused. She was beautiful. Dark hair pulled back, a soft yellow dress that moved with the breeze. She had this look on her face, like she was trying to solve a puzzle she hadn't been given all the pieces to. Then the man dropped to one knee. The crowd gasped. Someone cheered. The music started playing from a portable speaker. It was one of those grand, orchestrated moments, the kind people plan for weeks, the kind that's supposed to end with tears of joy and a kiss. But she didn't cry. She just stood there, frozen. He said something I couldn't hear, probably rehearsed 1,000 times, probably everything he thought she wanted to hear. He opened the box. The ring caught the sunlight, and she shook her head. Not dramatically, not cruelly, just a small, almost apologetic shake of her head. "I can't," she said, loud enough for me to hear, quiet enough that it felt like a secret. The music kept playing. No one stopped it. The man stayed on his knee, like maybe he'd heard wrong, like maybe if he waited long enough she'd change her mind. But she didn't. She whispered something to him. Then she turned and walked away, fast, not running, but close. The crowd didn't know what to do. Some people clapped awkwardly, like maybe it was part of a show. Others just stared. The photographer lowered his camera. I don't know why I followed her. Maybe because I knew what it felt like to disappoint someone. Maybe because I'd spent my whole life watching people say yes when they meant no. Maybe because something about the way she walked, like she was holding herself together with sheer willpower, felt familiar. She made it to a bench by the edge of the water before she stopped. She sat down, put her face in her hands. Her shoulders shook, but she didn't make a sound. I should have kept walking, should have left her alone, but I couldn't. I sat down on the other end of the bench, far enough to give her space, close enough that she knew someone was there. We didn't talk at first. She cried quietly. I stared at the water. Seagulls fought over a discarded sandwich. The sun started to set. After maybe 10 minutes, she finally spoke. "You saw." It wasn't a question. "Yeah," I said. Everyone saw. She laughed, but it sounded broken. That was the point, wasn't it? Public proposal, big romantic gesture, everyone watching. How could I possibly say no? I didn't answer. "I said no anyway," she continued. "God, I'm a terrible person." "You're not," I said. She looked at me then, really looked at me. Her eyes were red, mascara smudged. She looked exhausted. "You don't even know me." "I know you're not terrible. Terrible people don't cry on benches." She almost smiled. Almost. "I'm Emma," she said. "Daniel." We shook hands. It felt absurdly formal given the circumstances, but it also felt right, like we were starting something new, something honest. "Do you want to talk about it?" I asked. "No," she said. Then, after a pause, "Maybe. I don't know. We can just sit here if you want." So we did. The sun kept setting. The waterfront slowly emptied. I thought she might leave, but she stayed, and so did I. "We've been together for 3 years," she said eventually. "Mark, that's his name. He's a good person. Everyone loves him. My parents love him. My friends love him. He has a good job. He's stable, reliable. He remembers birthdays. He never yells. He's everything I'm supposed to want." "But you don't want him," I said. She looked at me sharply. "How do you know?" "Because you said no." Maybe I panicked. "Did you?" She was quiet for a long moment. Then she shook her head. No, I didn't panic. I just couldn't lie anymore. Not in front of all those people. Not with a ring and a photographer and a future I don't actually want. I couldn't say yes when every part of me was screaming no. That took courage, I said. She laughed bitterly. It took cowardice. A brave person would have ended it months ago. A brave person wouldn't have let it get this far. Or maybe a brave person finally listened to herself when it mattered most. She looked at me again. Something shifted in her expression, like she was seeing me differently. Why are you being so nice to me? You don't know me. You don't owe me anything. Maybe I know what it's like to stay in something because leaving feels impossible. She nodded slowly. What happened? I said yes when I meant no. Different situation, but same fear, same guilt. I spent 2 years in a relationship that felt like wearing someone else's clothes. It fit technically, but it never felt right. How did it end? Badly, I said. She wanted marriage, kids, the whole thing. I kept saying someday. She finally realized someday meant never. Do you regret it? I regret not being honest sooner, but I don't regret the ending. Emma nodded. She looked back at the water. I don't know what I'm going to do, she said quietly. We live together. We have plans. We were supposed to go to Italy next month. I don't even know where I'm going to sleep tonight. Do you have friends nearby? Yeah, but they'll want to talk about it. They'll want to know why. They'll tell me I made a mistake, or they'll tell me I did the right thing. Either way, I'm not ready. There's a coffee shop 2 blocks from here, open late, good coffee, terrible Wi-Fi, quiet. She looked at me. Are you asking me to have coffee with you? I'm offering you a place to sit that isn't a bench. She smiled, a real smile this time, small but genuine. Okay, she said. The coffee shop was called Luda's. I'd been going there for months. It was the kind of place that served coffee in mismatched mugs and had books scattered on shelves for anyone to read. The owner, an older woman named Diane, barely looked up when we walked in. We ordered. Emma got chamomile tea. I got black coffee. We sat in the corner by the window. Tell me something, Emma said. Something that has nothing to do with proposals or relationships or any of this. Like what? Anything. Just help me think about something else for a minute. I thought about it. I'm terrified of deep water, I said. She blinked. What? Deep water. Oceans, lakes, even pools if they're deep enough. I'm fine with swimming, but if I can't see the bottom, I panic. Why? No idea. Never had a bad experience. Never almost drowned. The not knowing what's down there, it terrifies me. She considered this. That's fair. The ocean is terrifying. What about you? I asked. I'm afraid of being ordinary, she said, of living a life that looks perfect from the outside but feels empty on the inside, of waking up at 50 and realizing I spent my whole life doing what I was supposed to do instead of what I wanted to do. What do you want to do? She hesitated. I want to write. I used to write all the time. Stories, poems, bad novels that will never see the light of day. But I stopped. I got a job in marketing because it was practical. I'm good at it. It pays well, but I hate it. So write. I can't. There's stuff in the way. Why not? Because writing doesn't pay the bills. Because it's risky. Because what if I'm not actually good enough? What if I spend years trying and end up with nothing? What if you don't try and end up with regret? She stared at her tea. You sound like a fortune cookie. Fortune cookies are wise. She laughed. A real laugh this time. It changed her whole face. We talked until the coffee shop closed, about everything and nothing. Books, movies, places we wanted to travel, childhood memories. She told me about growing up in a small town where everyone knew everyone. I told her about moving to the city alone and learning to be okay with loneliness. When Diane finally kicked us out, Emma looked at her phone and flinched. 37 missed calls, 15 texts. Mark, my mom, my friends. You don't have to answer tonight. I know, but I should. I owe him that much. Do you want me to wait with you? She looked at me. Would you? Yeah. We walked to a nearby park. She sat on a swing. I stood a few feet away. She called Mark. I didn't listen, or I tried not to, but I heard pieces.
His voice angry at first, then desperate. Her voice quiet but firm. I heard her say, "I'm sorry," more times than anyone should have to. I heard her say, "I can't," over and over. When she finally hung up, she looked drained. He wants to talk tomorrow, in person, to figure out the apartment situation. Are you okay? No, she said honestly, but I will be. I walked her to her friend's apartment. We exchanged numbers. I told her to text me if she needed anything. She said she would. I didn't think I'd hear from her again. But the next morning, my phone buzzed. "Thank you for last night. I needed that." I smiled. "Anytime." We started meeting for coffee. At first, it was just friendship. She needed someone to talk to who wasn't connected to her old life. I liked listening to her. She was smart, funny. She saw the world differently.